Hi, welcome. Welcome to the 12-week Healthy Brain wrap-up. Can you believe it's already been 12 weeks? 12 weeks. I'm so glad that you're here. But while I'm waiting for some of you to log in, and hopefully you all do, right? It makes me happy to see all of you there. Mark saved a hummingbird. So the hummingbird hit the window and got stuck. And he picked it up and kept rubbing it lightly. They're tiny. So cool. And he went and he was going to put it somewhere safe. And as soon as he placed the bird down, it flew off. It was so exciting. So exciting. So he left. And I hope he flew well. I hope that he's okay. All right, so healthy brain. As you guys know, right, the reason that I started this program is because of people that I care about deeply who are suffering from the effects of brain illness, dementia, and Alzheimer's. Hi, Annie. Welcome. They are doing well. They're adjusting. We're adjusting. Right? So it's been a journey. It's been a journey for the entire family and friends who love them so much. It's not over by any means. None of us know exactly how many breaths we have left. And there's still more adventures, I believe there are, and sights to see as we go down this road, as we travel this path with them. Many lessons and gifts, and of course challenges, and overcoming these. This is what we have to look forward to. So I want to thank each and every one of you. If you've joined me on this 12-week Healthy Brain series, I really hope, sincerely, that you received good information, something that you could use. Because remember, the goal is that our health span, how active, how healthy, our brain health, our body health, matches our lifespan. Because for these two people, their lifespan is much longer than their health span. And none of us want that. We don't want it for us, and we don't want it for those we love. So the purpose of this series was to give you things you absolutely could do. Not hard, but life-changing, life-fulfilling, healthy changes that you could make. So I hope that you have learned a lot about your brain. I'm not going to go through all of the medical stuff like I did in the first few weeks. I don't think we need to. You're always free, right, to go and check that out for yourself. Hi, Leslie, welcome. But do make changes that make sense to you, that you can incorporate so that you have a healthy brain. Because remember, the goal is that your health span matches your lifespan. So tonight, I want to bring it all together. I want to highlight it and bring it all together. I want to encourage you to take some steps if you haven't already. Because remember, your brain is the only one you have. It's the only one you came with. You won't get another one. There's no such thing at this time, or even in the near future, of a brain transplant. You came with this one. You'll leave with this one. Take good care of it. I know I plan to. So as you let that sink in, right, what really got me started, as I said before, is that the brain begins to decline decades before the first symptoms appear. So what I did in my 20s and 30s and 40s really mattered to this 50-year-old brain, 50-plus-year-old brain, right? So for me, sugar and stress and alcohol and sedentary lifestyle, obesity and routine all have had an impact on my brain, the one I have now. Scary, right? It is scary, but it's not a life sentence. And it definitely isn't the end of my story. Because there's so much that we can do. That's what I really want to focus on, what we can do. Start now. It's never too late. It's never too early to begin. So my goal, as I've told you many times, is to live well, with well-being, live well into my 90s. I want to live well. I want to be happy. I want to be healthy. I want to continue with my sense of purpose. I have found my purpose, and it fills me with so much energy and so much joy. I want to be able to serve others for as long as I can, as for as long as they want my services. Because doing this work fulfills me. I love it that much that I don't want to retire. My goal, again, is for my health span to match my lifespan, and I hope that's yours as well. Brings me back, right, to our family members. Hello, Brooke, welcome. Our family members who are living the opposite of those goals, like I mentioned earlier, their lifespan will bypass their health span. It already has. And there's very little that they can do to reverse the effects of time and their lifestyle. But there's so much that we can do. And I truly believe that they would love if all of you took action based on their story so that you prevented as much as you can what's happening to them, right? Now, it's not horrible. I want you to know that. We love them. We still go see them. We spend a lot of time with them, and we do everything we can to make their life as comfortable and happy and fulfilling as we can. But we have challenges. They have deficits. So we work with that. But I know that they wouldn't want this for anyone else. So remember, your health span matching your lifespan, as close as you can get it. So I want to go through a study. So hold on, let me find my place here. There was a story that I shared about a group of nuns. And this is important. Very, very inspiring and gives us hope. So the researchers began the study when the nuns were quite young. And there was a large group of them, so this is a well-documented study. And they followed them over the course of the nuns' long lives, and most of them lived into their 90s. So the nuns donated their brains and their body to science, and they were followed closely by these researchers. They were tested for their cognitive abilities as well as their physical capabilities, because as the brain declines, so does the body. Right? We all know that we get less flexible, we shuffle more, we stoop, right? And we don't have the strength that we had. So they were tested for their cognitive abilities as well as their physical abilities and their emotional status. And it was fascinating to me, and this is where it really gave me a sense of hope. It was found that although none of the nuns, right, demonstrated any cognitive decline, many of them had clear indications of Alzheimer's. So at the time of their autopsies, their brains were riddled with the tangles and the beta amyloid deposits. But they never demonstrated cognitive disability, no cognitive decline as they were tested, and their physical health stayed really pretty well as well. Lots of well here. Their physical abilities still maintained, and their cognitive abilities were as if they were much younger, even though during the autopsy their brains were riddled with the tangles and the amyloid plaques of Alzheimer's. So the researchers determined conclusively that although they did have Alzheimer's, they must have had adequate brain reserves, neural redundancy, we've talked about all of these, and they had brain plasticity. So this allowed their brains to function quite normally, even though they were riddled with the disease of Alzheimer's. So they were able to rely on these redundant neural connections And we'll talk about making as many connections as you can anytime that, let's say, you travel. So that if one of your connections is destroyed by Alzheimer's or dementia, you have many more. This is important with your family, where you live, right? Your finances, everything you do, you want redundant neural connections so that if one is lost, you have many more. So this gives me hope and determination, lots of determination, to make a difference in my own brain health. And I hope you do the same. So what can you do? What can you do? Most of you know 80% to the answer to this question. You may know it all, but for sure, you know 80%. Be healthy. Live a healthy lifestyle. And as I've covered many, many times, utilize the 80-20 rule. Right? Life should be enjoyed. If you have grandchildren, enjoy their birthday cake. If you attend a wedding, enjoy the cake, enjoy a good meal, have date night, an occasional glass of wine or beer. Right? So the 80-20 rule, utilize it. 80% of the time, at a minimum, live healthy, which means exercise, eat healthy, reduce stress, learn, grow your brain. Those are the keys. So I think we've been exposed to this. It's in all the magazines, it's on TV, it's on social media, right? Eating healthy, exercising, reducing stress. Those are the cornerstones that most doctors, right, will have you do. People talk about it. People stress about it. People get really, really opinionated about it. So let me be clear, that's not me. It's not my philosophy, right? Because my philosophy is that there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. There's not. Hence, again, the 80-20 rule. So this is work for you, right? It's not going to be all laid out for you. You need to look at what works for you. Because what works for you might not work for your best friend, and what works for your spouse might not work for you. And then there's the advertising, right? So what you see working miraculously, picture evidence in advertisement, might be legitimate. It might be accurate. It may really have worked just like they said for that person, but it might not work for you. So my approach is to listen to your body and do your own research and consult with your physician, and then make incremental changes and document your progress. Follow your progress. Know what works for you and what doesn't. Know what works for you, and then stick with that. Stick with what works. So now, that being said, there are some fundamental basics that I encourage you to try. And this is a big one for me, as you all know, right? I'm either diabetic or borderline diabetic, although my sugar is well maintained now. But we have no essential need for added sugar. Added sugar has no known health benefits, none. And we're talking about the highly processed white stuff. So we have no essential need for added sugar. And there are no health benefits, no known health benefits to sugar. As I mentioned before, in lab rat studies, sugar is more addictive than cocaine. And cocaine is highly addictive. Sugar is more so in lab rat studies. Now, occasionally, I talked about this, a treat can be a wonderful experience, but make it special and really enjoy it. Make it special and really enjoy it. Don't eat mindlessly sugar-loaded stuff or processed foods, any of that. Don't eat it mindlessly. Really enjoy it. Be aware of it. Get in touch with it. And then only have it occasionally for those special occasions. We're talking sugar, right? We don't have any need for added sugar. And then for most of your daily routine, eliminate, right, this highly addictive, highly processed white substance. Substitute fruit instead. Natural fruit. Natural fruit has vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, fiber, right? Natural fruit is good for you, but you don't need the added sugar. And then try going dairy-free. And try going gluten-free, right? If you get good results, stick to it, right? So try it. Try going dairy-free. Try going gluten-free. It made a difference for me. The gluten, not so much, but the dairy, definitely. If you don't see any benefits, right, nothing really changes, you're not feeling a lot better to being dairy or gluten-free, keep them. Absolutely. But choose healthier options, right? Not the highly processed. Choose healthier options. If you're going to eat grains, make sure that they are whole grains. And then experiment with other grains as well. There's all kinds of grains out there, barley and rye, quinoa, right? Quinoa is really good and really doesn't have the same effects as the gluten grains. If you have no ill effects from dairy, incorporate quality dairy foods, such as yogurt, non-sweetened, kefir, and good cheese. Right? So if you don't have any issues with dairy, make sure that what you choose is healthy. And increase foods. This is for everyone. Increase foods that are rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Make sure you get your fiber. Feed that good gut flora. And your gut flora needs fiber. And then lastly, hydrate. Hydrate, hydrate with good clean water. Your brain needs water. Your entire body needs water. You've heard we're mostly water. We need to hydrate. And the effects of dehydration can very often in the elderly mimic dementia or Alzheimer's because their brains get dehydrated and we don't work well when we're dehydrated. Our body doesn't function well. Our joints, our organs, and our brain. Right? Imagine your blood. It's liquid. Needs some water. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Can't emphasize that enough. And now to exercise. So it's key to your health. We know this. It's key to our longevity. It's key to the quality of our life as we're living a long, healthy, happy life. So make sure, right, that you incorporate exercise if you want your health span to match your lifespan. Many people I know left this one out, and their bodies are suffering the effects. So when I researched the best exercise for brain health, now all exercise is good, I want you to know that. Movement is necessary. And there's an old Chinese proverb that we are only as young as we are flexible. Thank you, Brooke. We're only as young as we are flexible. So we know that we need to exercise. So all exercise is good, but for your brain health, there are some key ways to make it better. One is to make it challenging and exercise that involves all of your brain functions, as many as possible. So your brain functions such as hand-eye coordination, strategy, competition. I say keep it friendly because stress isn't good. Foresight, which would be like anticipating another's moves or when something will happen and you need to react to it. Also change it up because routine can be good for your body. And I know this, right? I needed to develop a habit, a daily habit of walking and exercise, or I wouldn't do it. So routine is good for the body, but it doesn't help your brain to learn, to grow, and to create new neural connections. So you want this, change it up. So yoga is good, aerobics is good, right? It's all, we have to remember those steps. I've heard Zumba is really difficult, so that would be a good one for me to try, especially at home because I don't want to do it with other people watching me. Basketball, football, tennis, All of that is good, right? Because it's unpredictable and you have to think while you play. That's always good. All right, do it regularly, daily if you can. Most of the studies that I read, right, suggested at least 30 minutes to get the body moving, and 30 minutes daily. So get out in nature. This is huge. Get out in nature. Nature has multiple benefits for your body, your mind, and your spirit. So nature helps us to be whole, helps us to be well in all facets of our life. It's been shown to reduce stress. They have shown that putting your feet in cool grass in the summertime lowers your blood pressure, reduces stress. You have an overall sense of well-being just by the grass alone on your bare feet. Imagine that for a moment. It feels really good. It's one of life's greatest gifts. And I don't know about you, but for me, I'm more grateful, right, which is one of those elevated emotions. I'm more grateful when I'm outside, out in nature, when I can hear and smell and see all that there is, that God, created for us. I'm more grateful. It's a good state of being. And even though you may walk or run the same route, there's usually variety out in nature. You have the weather, you have animals, you have sights, sounds, right, smells. So there is some variety. It's not the exact same routine. And then there's the benefits of fresh air and sunlight, the latter being highly important for your well-being and your overall health. We need sunlight. We're meant to get some. It's how we produce vitamin D. So you don't want to go so far as to, incur skin cancer, but you do need exposed skin to the sun. It's good for you. Good for you. All right, the next big one that has a huge impact on your health is stress reduction. And I know a lot about this one. It's what I do. Hypnosis. Hypnosis is great stress reducing exercise, right? So hypnosis works. It's what I do. It's one of my favorites. But you don't have to come see me to experience the benefits. Hypnosis is a daily, naturally occurring state of mind that you go in and out of many times throughout the day. So I'll just recap some of these times so that you know what it feels like to go into self-hypnosis. If you drive on autopilot, that is an altered state of mind. You are in alpha. Let me get that right. Alpha brain waves. So as your mind is thinking about something else, it's daydreaming or whatever, your subconscious is driving the car. Highly effectively, I might add. But that's an alpha state, right? You're relaxed. When you first wake up in the morning and your body is still asleep, but your mind knows that the alarm is about to go off, you are still in a very relaxed alpha state of mind. Same thing when you first fall asleep. You have just a few moments where you're still consciously aware, although your body is deeply relaxed. That is also hypnosis. If you get tuned in to a TV program so much so that you can't hear somebody calling your name, right? You're zoned out. That is a state, an altered state of mind, similar to hypnosis. Same brainwave patterns, the alpha state. So hypnosis isn't being unconscious. It absolutely is not. You hear everything, you know everything, you feel it. You're just in a highly focused state. And in the case with my clients, right, focused on creating health and well-being and happiness, right, achieving goals. So that's hypnosis. But hypnosis is wonderful for stress reduction. You can lower your blood pressure. You can create a sense of well-being. You can control pain better. So hypnosis has many uses, and one of them is stress reduction. You can also do self-hypnosis. And if hypnosis isn't your bag, right, it's not what you want to do, then think about meditation. Meditation is also that state of mind, deeply relaxed body, letting go. Meditation is more about a decrease in thoughts, right, so that your brain isn't just racing and racing and racing. That causes us stress. So meditation is about stilling the mind, quieting the mind, which also relaxes the body and reduces stress. Meditation has been shown in so many studies to have positive benefits on the body. One of them is reducing stress and stress-related illnesses. So all relaxation is good to reduce stress. Another way to go into this altered state of mind is to pray. I pray often. I pray all the time, actually. I say a lot of prayers. I say prayers for people. I say gratitude prayers, optimistic prayers. That's my focus. And I would ask you to pray optimistically and with gratitude, because it has a twofold effect. First, it's less stressful, and I'll go into why, but it's less stressful. When we are in a state of gratitude and optimism, we are naturally more relaxed. We feel safe, which lowers our fight or flight response, lowers our stress response. So I want to emphasize, right, that it is less stressful if you pray with gratitude and optimism. So I always say, and I say it often, focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. So by praying with gratitude, thank you, God, for this beautiful life that I have. Thank you, God, for taking care of me so well. Thank you, God, for all the food I have to eat, the roof over my head, the people who love me. Right? So much less stressful than if you pray in a petitionary way. And this is what a petitionary prayer would sound like. Oh, please, God, help me. Pay my bills. I don't have enough money. Heal me. Heal someone I love. Protect me from whatever. Fix this. Right? Way different. And it induces stress. I want you to hear that praying in that manner, I would never call it wrong. But praying in that manner is stress-inducing. Sounds way different than thank you so much for all the people in my life. Thank you so much for this journey. Thank you so much for all that you provide. Sounds way different than I'm looking so forward to seeing these people. I'm looking so forward to working with my clients. I'm looking forward to work. Pays my bills, right? Provides for my family. All of that is different. I want you to really recognize the difference and then work. Because when we are in a state of fear, this is how it induces stress. All of that was fearful and lack focused. So your body will react to that. It goes into the fight or flight response. And it produces all of the associated hormones of stress, cortisol and adrenaline and all the others. Right? Simply because you are praying with your focus on what you are fearful of or what you are lacking. So by focusing on what you don't have or what's wrong in your life, you're feeding energy into that exact thing that you don't want. So with all of your energy and all of your focus and attention, remember, you get more of what you focus on. So focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. So again, let's say it's the bills, right? Thank you so much for all that you provide. I'm looking forward to the gifts that come. If it's health for you or someone else, thank you so much for this life I have. Thank you so much for the time I have with this other person. Thank you for caring for them. I trust, and I know that you'll provide me all that I need to handle whatever may come. We're going to talk a lot more about resourcefulness and resiliency. Your belief that you can handle whatever may come your way. So please, please, please focus on what you want rather than what you don't want. Focus on what you want rather than what you don't want, because you will get more of whatever you focus on. So that was my soapbox for the moment. Back to what else you can do to reduce stress. So I emphasize, let's do that. I emphasize self-care. Self-care. Just like when you fly on an airplane, they tell you put your oxygen mask on first, because if you pass out, you're no good to the one next to you. So even if it's the choice of you or your child, you put yours on and then you put theirs on, right? Self-care first. Remember the airplane. You're no good. You're no good to anyone, including yourself, if you're sick or depleted, right? Stressed out, right? You're not your best. So self-care first. Now, if it's a one-time event, let's say something pops up, right? It's a one-time event. I'd like you to ask, is this really a one-time event? Am I piling on this thing to all of the other junk, right? Remember the rocks in the backpack. How many do you have? Because if you have a lot, even one can feel overwhelming, right? The straw that broke the camel's back. So, are you exaggerating something minor into something major by adding it in with all of the other junk? Know what's in your backpack. Know what you can release. Lighten your load. Right? And then this minor thing won't feel like such a major thing. So that's one way to keep your stress low. And remember, stress affects your entire body, not just your brain. So anything you can do to reduce stress will produce an overall sense of well-being. Body, mind, and spirit. We are not separate parts. We are whole humans. Body, mind, and spirit. Here's my favorite. Stay out of the drama triangle. Many of you know about the drama triangle. Right? I tell everyone I meet, right? We've covered it. We have. But a quick recap, right? Feel the feelings. Don't deny them and don't shove them back in. Right? Emotions and feelings want to come up, give you the message that they came to deliver and leave. But most of us shove them back in. Right? Continually shoving them back in. That's the rocks in the backpack. So feel the feelings and then let it go. Here's a key one. Acknowledge that shit happens. Right? We don't control the world. The weather can ruin our best laid plans. Shit happens. People are mean, right? Accidents happen. Acknowledge that shit happens. And call it shit if it's shit, right? You don't have to sugarcoat it, right? No sugar. Call it shit if it's shit. If you were wronged, you were wronged. But then do something different. We're going to get a little bit more into that. Learn to say no. Set clear boundaries and then honor your own boundaries. Let go of the agendas, right? Don't do something with an agenda in mind, because then that leads into an attachment to the outcome. This is one of the most powerful things that I practice, is letting go of my attachment to the outcomes. So letting go of the attachments to the outcome may be a game changer for you as well. So when you step back and really look at what you can control, there isn't much. You don't control the economy, you don't control the weather, you don't control other people. So you can control, I want you to hear this, this is the positive. You can control how you react and respond. How you react and respond to any situation that comes your way. And this is where your true power is, in choosing how you will react and respond. You get to choose. Right? So go back to feel the feelings, Because if we're reacting and responding, right, we need to feel them, and the faster we can allow them to come up and move through us, the better we can get to handling the situation. Trust that you are resourceful. Trust that you are resilient. And here's why. We have all overcome many challenges in our life. The older we are, the more we've probably overcome. But we all have them. We have all had challenges, traumas, and dramas. Right? We are resilient. We survived. And because you are here listening to this, I know you care. So you have hope, you have optimism, you have gratitude, you have faith. All of that makes you resilient. You've already handled a whole lot of hard things. But guess what you got from that? You're resourceful. You have new wisdom. You always get wisdom from overcoming these challenges. And wisdom is priceless. You have new skills, new abilities, new knowledge, new understanding. Right? You are resourceful and resilient. And you can handle anything that comes your way. You can. Many of us thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Right? So you're faced with something, a big uphill battle. But you get through it. You find a way. We always do. We find a way. Even when we fail, we are finding a way. Right? And again, we learn. We learn as much from our failures as we do our successes. It's all part of life. So understand that you can handle anything that comes your way. It helps you in how you look at how you're going to react and respond. So trust. Trust in you. Absolutely trust in you. You can handle anything that comes your way. And this is what allows you to let go of your attachment to the outcome. Right? If you add a lot of stress and a lot of fear into producing this outcome, when you don't control very much, it will increase your stress. It may turn out the way you want it to, but it may not. Understand that you can handle whatever comes your way. Now, it doesn't mean, I want you to hear this, absolutely doesn't mean that you stop striving for excellence. Doesn't mean that you don't give it all that you have. I want to be clear. You still set your standards. You still give it all that you have. You do. You give it all that you've got. Doesn't mean that you leave anything undone. You don't leave anything on the field or the court. I love that coaching philosophy. Right? Don't leave it on the field or the court. Give it all you've got, and win or lose, know that you played your game, your very best game. So it does mean you give it your absolute best, and then allow and accept the chips to fall where they may. We win some, we lose some. Sometimes we fall just a little bit short. Sometimes we exceed all of our expectations. So allow and accept the chips to fall where they may. And there's more ways to reduce stress. There absolutely is. Find the tools that work for you. For some, it's acupuncture or meditation, and we talked about that. Massage, right? Going to a spa, camping, fishing, reading. All of these things are ways that we can reduce stress. So find the tools that work best for you. And then be aware. Be aware if you fall back into your old stressful patterns. Many of them you've had for a long time. They're still there and they're underlying. And if you allow them to creep back in, they will. And as they creep back in, they can drag you back down to that place you were at before, that unhealthy place in body, mind, and spirit. So take the appropriate action and get back on course. Right? And be forgiving and compassionate and understanding of yourself, because self-judgment is stress-inducing. So lastly, I want to cover how to grow our brains. I want to cover how to create new neural connections, which is growing our brains, and increasing our neuroplasticity. Remember, we want that reserve, the brain reserve. We want a lot of redundancy. We want many, many connections, just like the nuns. They had Alzheimer's, I want you to hear that. But they didn't show the effects outwardly. No one knew. They were still very cognitively able to take care of themselves and to live a full life. Even their physical decline did not occur. So we're meant to learn. You know this. And if you work in the schools, children are like sponges. We're like sponges from the moment we're born. Imagine what a child learns in the first 10 years of their life, right? So we're meant to learn. We're meant to try new things. We love novelty. We do love novelty. We get tired of the same old thing. Boredom, right? It's not good for our brains. It's not good for our body. It's not good for us, emotionally or spiritually. We're meant to meet challenges. We've been doing it since we came on the planet, right? Think of what we've done, just like that child, how much they learn from birth to 10 years. Look at humanity. We moved out of caves and into high rises. We moved out of caves and landed on the moon. We're now looking at landing on Mars and setting up settlements. We've come a long way. Why? Because we like to meet challenges. We love to innovate. We love to create. We are meant to do all of these things. That's what gives us life, fills us, makes life worth living. So we were never meant to be stagnant. Of all the animals, we have the prefrontal cortex. Of all the animals, we have it. It's what makes us different. It's what makes us different. It's how we analyze, create solutions, change, and adapt to our environment. Again, we came out of the caves and landed on the moon. We came out of the caves, and someday we will live on Mars, right? That's because we can analyze, create solutions. We can change and adapt to our environment. So our brain thrives. Once you hear this, it thrives when we try new things. It thrives when we have new experiences, when we learn new skills, new information, and new activities. Right? You're here now because you want to learn something new. I hope you're enjoying it. You can hit the like or love button because you know I love to see those little hearts fly through the screen. So I covered that learning a new language or learning to play a musical instrument really works all areas of your brain. It works them all, creates a lot of neural connections. But even in your everyday life, you can try new things, have a new focus. If you have bad habits such as smoking or overeating or any of that, this is how I, coach my clients into change. Because we need new neural connections. We need connections to health. Right? So try new things in your everyday life, such as, you can drive to work differently. Thank you. You can drive to work differently. You can try a new recipe. You can read a book that doesn't interest you at all, just to try a new subject, right? So have a new focus. Find a new focus, right? For me, these 12 weeks, I've been on brain health. If you see my posts, I try on Facebook, I try to post things about brain health, right? I have a new focus. I learned a lot of new things, a lot of new things. Here's one that I love. Get out of your concrete belief systems. Get out of those. They hold you back. We filter information through our belief systems. If yours are concrete, you can't move. If you absolutely believe that the Steelers are the best football team in the world, you're not open to watching and enjoying someone else, right? So, that's just a fun one. But we all have them, right? Political, religious, social, cultural, right? So look at these concrete belief systems. Be open to stretching. Be open to seeing a different view. So if you're really concrete on one, let's say that you're concretely Democrat, look at conservative values. Are they that different from yours? It doesn't mean you have to like the people who are espousing them. I want you to know that. But are they that different from yours? Most likely they're not. It's just what we're fed and how we're led to believe. So stretch. Stretch by eating different foods. Right? Do you eat the same thing over and over, like in a routine? What I would consider, the way I used to cook, more of a rut. Right? So we have spaghetti on Mondays, pork chops on Tuesdays, right? That kind of rut. So you all know that we tried HelloFresh. I like it. It's not as low carb as I need, so we're not doing it now. But it absolutely stretched us. Mark and I cooked together. We followed the recipe guidelines. We learned some new cooking techniques, like roasting vegetables. He loves the roasted potatoes. I do the roasted sweet potatoes. The roasted Brussels sprouts, right? Different foods, different ways of cooking. We had to follow the directions, right? Because it was that new. That's how you stretch your brain. When you're not comfortable doing it, right, and you have to think about it, that's the stretch I'm talking about. So again, a new route, going to work or going to Denver, for instance, try something new. Go explore. Watch different movies or different TV shows. Now on TV shows, if you watch reruns, then this is the tip for you. You've already seen it. Why are you watching it? Most likely it's a routine, right? That's what you watch on Monday nights. Do something different. Stretch. Explore a topic that you never would have watched before, that you didn't think you were interested in. You may still not be after watching it, but you may learn something and be able to say, I want a little bit more of that in my life. And just like I did all of this research on the brain health, you may find something that you're very, very interested in. All right, so I'm going to get on another soapbox. Don't watch the news very often. Definitely make this a rule that you don't watch it before going to bed. Because what you ruminate in right before sleep is what gets planted in the subconscious. Remember I told you that at night, as you begin to relax and unwind, you go into an altered state, that state just before sleep. This is how suggestions and beliefs can be planted. Do you want what you saw on the news to be your view of life? I don't, right? Because news is geared towards negativity. Negativity sells, because as humans, we're wired to focus on the negative. That was our survival technique. So this isn't easy, but if you make this change, it will have a major change in your life, a major change in your outlook. I very rarely watch the news at all. Mark watches 15 minutes of it in the morning. We get all we need from the local news. If it's a big event, a huge worldwide event, it'll be in that 15 minutes. But I don't need to soak it all in, and I definitely don't need to ruminate in a negative bias and negative views. Everything is as bad as it can be on the news because that's what sells. Right? If good news sold, that's all you would see. Because in the grand scheme of things, the 80-20 rule, 80% of life is wonderful. Only 20% is what you see on the news. So please, please, please don't watch it right before going to bed, because that changes your view of the world. But don't do it first thing in the morning either, right? The news is geared for the negativity, and you don't want to color your day, especially first thing. Do you want to start off your day that way? So my suggestion especially if you have to stay up on current news, is to choose a time, a place, and then limit what you expose yourself to. So choose the time and the place, and then limit what you expose yourself to. I promise you'll be much happier, much, much happier. You will have a better outlook on life, and then when you do see things such as shootings, right, or disasters, natural disasters, you still have empathy and sympathy. You can take action. You can donate to the cause, right? Especially the Red Cross or any of these organizations that help those in need. That's so much more powerful than sitting there and ruminating in this disaster, right? And then it makes you believe it could happen to you. And although it can, the odds are against it. Again, drive to work a different way. I suggest you leave 5 to 10 minutes early. All of the traffic will be different. You'll see things differently. Even the sunrise or the sunset will be different, right? So drive to work a different way. Do that often. Don't let it become a routine. Now join a social club where you can meet new people. Maybe go to a different church so you can meet new people there. Hear, right, the same Word of God in a different way. Maybe join a cooking class, right? That would be great. You'll be learning something new and meeting new people. I like going to the wet paintbrush, right? I'm not a great artist, but I sure do love doing that. It's creative, it's fun, and I meet new people. So maybe even taking an art class, photography class. Okay? Get out and do something different, learn, meet new people. Travel. Travel, travel, travel. Even in your own backyard. So where I live, right, there's the Great Sand Dunes. There's the Stations of the Cross. There's North Clear Creek Falls. There's rivers, lakes, and streams. There's mountaintops. There's petroglyphs, right? There's teepee rings, there's wagon wheel ruts, there's just about everything for me to explore. So travel doesn't mean that you have to go out of the country or out of state, right? You can travel in your own backyard and experience something new. Have you been to your own museums? Right? Museums are a wealth of knowledge. Learn all that you can about where you're traveling to. And here's why it's important and good for your brain. The more memories you have of this experience, of the place, what you did, who you're with, right? What you ate, what you saw, what you really did, right? Did you go to the museum? Did you do a river rafting trip? What is it that you did? Make sure that you are in touch with the emotions that go with the trip. We remember things by emotions. So if it was a wonderful experience, that's what you're going to bring up, right? That feeling, which will flood you with all of the memories, right? The foods, the smells, the sights and sounds, be there. Don't rush through. Don't be on your phone, right? Really be there. Really be there and experience it all. The sights, the sounds, the smells, the food, the people, experience it all. Invoke all of your emotions, right? Awe and wonder and happiness and laughter and whatever it is, right? Invoke the emotions to go with the memory, because this gives you multiple avenues of recalling this event. You make multiple neural connections. So you make a connection to the food you ate. You make a connection to the food you ate and with who. You make a connection to what it tasted like, what it smelled like. So there's multiple connections to the food, which makes multiple connections to the place, which makes multiple connections to the memory of who you were with. So let's say it was your loved one, right? And you're facing Alzheimer's down the road. You want as many connections as you can have to this person you love so that you never forget them. Right? It's a heartbreaking moment. Some of us are facing that. Some of us already have. This is how you prevent it in yourself, right? So again, you want as many neural connections to create these memories, because if one is damaged by Alzheimer's or dementia, you have many, many more, right? This is what prevented the nuns from suffering the effects of the disease that they conclusively had. They had many, many connections. They had many memories, and they were able to access those so that on their outward appearance, they didn't have the disease. It wasn't until they gave them the autopsy that they found it. And then lastly, I want to close with how your outlook on life is, how you see yourself, how you see the world and your place in it. So living with gratitude and optimism is one of the most powerful tools that I've ever used. Bad things still happen. I'm talking to you now because of heartbreaking, right, health challenges of people I love so much. They've been such an integral part of my life, my children's life, right? The entire family. Doesn't dim my optimism or my gratitude. So I'm very grateful that we still have them. Very grateful that they remember who we are. Very grateful that I can still look in their eyes and feel them love me when I arrive. They're happy to see me, right? So much to be grateful for. I easily could get lost in the crap of it, right? It is shit that they will never be who they were before. Never be who they were when I first joined the family. Right? It's gonna make me cry. That's shit. But it doesn't dull my optimism for life or my gratitude. I'm so grateful that they're a part of my life. I'm grateful to be a part of this family. Grateful for my own family. Makes me highly aware of my own parents and my own family, right? Time isn't promised to anybody. All you have is today. All you have is today. Live it fully. Live it fully. Live it with optimism. Look forward to tomorrow. Because, right, the opposite is that you don't get one. Is that what you want? It's not. We're all here. You're watching me because you want to live life fully. So optimism and gratitude will change how you see the world, will change how you experience life. It's one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. So with that, I hope you join me next week as I start on another journey, parenting tips for resiliency and resourcefulness. You have it. How do you give it to your children? Because they will experience trials and tribulations, challenges, traumas, and especially dramas. How do you give them the tools they need, the resourcefulness and the resiliency, so that they can thrive as well, even when bad things happen to them? And I want you to know it'll be geared towards parenting tips, but all adults will see themselves in it, and all adults can use the tips for themselves to make positive changes in their own life. So I hope you join me next week as well. And as you know, I would love for you to love yourself well. Thank you for joining me.